Good morning, folks, and welcome back to Wishwell Farms. Today is green bean harvest. I have about an acre here ready to go, and I've been excited to showcase our one-row green bean harvester for you guys, show you how it works in action, and today is the day. So let me show you a little bit of what we're picking today. Look at those beauties. Long, straight, dark beans. They are gorgeous, and they're loaded. One of the better bean patches I've had in quite some time. This is going to be some good picking today. And this is what I've been waiting for to show you guys. Even though we've been picking for several weeks on several acres, the harvest has been terrible. And I want to showcase this green bean harvester to you to show its potential. And it was just slow going in the previous acres that we harvested. But this one's going to be good, and we should be able to harvest about 1 to 2 bushels per minute. Maybe 3. I don't know how thick it's going to be. Right behind the camera is the green bean harvester. Let's go over it and I'll show you everything about it before we get busy picking. There she is, the BH100 bean harvester made by Oxbow. I've had this harvester for 15 years. I believe this is going to be year 15. So I think I bought it in 2008 or 2009, possibly even 2007. I paid $33,000 for this machine. They now cost over $58,000 for the exact same machine. Basically no changes. I'm sure there's been some updates over the last 15 years, but it's basically the same machine. So here's how it works. The row of beans will be fed in right here. And I'll take the cover off here in a second and show you the beaters, the picking fingers in there. And it's going to throw the beans, it's going to pick the beans and throw them onto this belt. The belt is going to carry them through the machine to this second belt, where it's brought up to this area here before it dumps onto the final lifting belt, the third belt. And this has a giant fan in here. So this fan spins at a high RPM and creates a suction down here. And I can adjust the amount of suction I want with these little baffles, or these shrouds. I have those all the way down to create a more suction through this area to blow out any small beans and leaves and other debris that I don't want in my good green beans. The good green beans are too heavy to be sucked out. They will travel up this final conveyor in the back and then spill out of one of these chutes depending on which one you have the lever on. So we could be filling one tote right here on this one, and when it gets full, we have an empty one right here. We switch the lever, and that one starts to fill while we move this one out of the way and get ready for filling another one. Plenty of room on the platform right here for a helper to stand there and to store extra tubs. I will have my box truck down here with 60 tubs that we're going to harvest today. And every time we make a round, it'll start, we might be able to make 2 rounds in this shorter length of field. We'll have maybe 8 or 10 full tubs on here. We'll back it up to the box truck, offload them, get another stack of empty lugs, and keep right on going. You can adjust the fan speed with this handle here. Mine's kind of froze up. I need to loosen that up, but I've got it set where I want, so I don't really ever have to adjust that. I can mainly get by just adjusting these shrouds down here to create more or less suction. All right, I'm going to take off the cover here so you can see the picking fingers. All right, here's what it looks like under the cover. These picking fingers kind of remind me of a hay rake, but they spin quickly through the plant and fling off all the beans right onto this little conveyor belt. You can kind of see it through there. Now you might be wondering, how are the beans not damaged by those metal picking fingers? I've always wondered that myself, but they do not really get damaged. If you pick when it's too cold early in the morning, it can snap more beans, like break them in half. So it's better to pick when there's no dew, mid to late morning or even the afternoon. When the beans are hot or warm, they're more flexible and they're picked easier with these picking fingers with less damage. But as far as dinging up the beans or bruising the beans, it doesn't happen. It's unbelievable. how well this picks the beans and how little it damages the beans. All right, I'm gonna start it up so you can see how fast these spin. So this is at idle. This is as slow as I can make this spin. Now I'm gonna turn it up, but it kind of gives you an idea of how this machine works. There's the picking fingers. It'll go through the beans, throw them onto this conveyor right here. Up that conveyor, all the leaves and stems and pieces of dirt will get sucked out. The good beans will ride up this final conveyor and spill into our tubs. I harvest these beans at 1800 RPMs. Look how fast that is. All right, let's get harvesting so you can see this thing in action. So the picking head is in the raised position right now. In the lowered position, these points should just touch the ground. So I have the harvester adjusted, or the picking head adjusted, so it's at the right height for picking beans right when these graze the ground. So you can see I'm up about 5 inches right now. That's kind of the traveling position, or the position you lift it up in when you're turning around. If you go too low, you will pick up dirt from time to time and rocks. I mean, it's not uncommon to pick up rocks that big or bigger every time I harvest, and they go through the machine and fall into the bean tubs. So it's best to have a well-prepared field that's smooth. I would even go so far to say, if you could mulch, I think that's the machine, mulch your field after you plant beans, or maybe right before you plant beans, just to roll it out nice and smooth, you'll have a lot better harvesting experience with this picker. Now, if your beans are really tall and healthy like these are right here, I mean, these beans are every bit of 15 to 17 inches tall, I'm guessing. I mean, they are tall and thick. I won't have to lower this machine quite as low to get all the beans. But earlier in the season, like the ones I've harvested down the road here, they were stunted. I think they were damaged from some herbicide drift from neighboring soybean fields. I don't know, the early beans just are always shorter, and I had to lower that machine quite a ways to get all those beans, and I was still missing some, and then I was more likely to pick up rocks and dirt. This is what a harvested row looks like. It kind of strips them pretty clean, removes a good portion of the leaves. So there's an unpicked row and there's a picked row. But if you look down here, I can see a few beans that are getting missed. It's not too bad. It might be like 10 or 15%. All I know is it beats hand picking. we just finished our second round, and it's really good picking. So we got 6.5 tubs on this variety here. Let's take a look at the quality and the color. So here's Valentino. You can see they're pretty dark. Those are beautiful. These are a hair lighter, but they're yielding a little better. So I think what we're gonna do is finish up what we need with this variety and then come back in 3 or 4 days and get more beans from the Valentino variety. Next, we're gonna slide them all into the box truck. I would love to know how many bushels per minute we're getting. So I'm gonna time it on this next pass and I'll let you know. My goodness, these beans are thick. Just look at those things. Absolutely loaded. Some of the best beans I've seen in quite some time. My gosh. Seems like every year I have at least 1 or 2 patches that are like this. But all the ones early and late are this good. I just wish they would all look like that. All right, that last pass yielded us about 4 bushels of beans, and it took me just a hair over 2 minutes. So 2 bushels a minute, it's pretty good. The guys have decided to come and offload our picked beans so they can get started washing and packing. We'll just slide them onto another box truck because we still have all these empties that we need to fill. We just finished up our green beans, and now I'm down here in our other patch with purple green beans and yellow wax green beans. So here's what the purple beans look like. They're pretty. Not a lot of them in there. They're kind of small still. Huh. Yeah, we might not get very many out of here. You can see how the whole plant is pretty purple. But there's plenty of beans to pick. I only need like 5 bushels. And then over here are the yellow wax. I'm pretty sure they're good to go. Yeah. They look pretty nice. It's a weedy mess over here, but that's all right. Yeah, there's plenty of yellow wax beans in here. All right, we're in the middle of packing beans. I'm going to show you the whole process here. We bring the beans off the box truck, slide them off to the bean lift. This is our pre-dunk tub. This is to give them a little pre-wash and to take a little bit of the field heat off. And then we throw them into the lift. They're going to go up the lift onto the shaker table. So they're spilling off the lift, coming across the shaker table. Broken bits are going to fall through these little cracks down here. So that's not bad, not too many broken pieces. This is where we're pulling out leaves, stems, rocks, dirt, any debris that we don't want in the beans. They come off the vibrating table where we are packing them into these 1 bushel wooden crates. Then we put them in our second dunk tub. This is cold well water, about 50 degrees, 55 degrees. This takes the rest of the field heat off of the beans and gives them a second wash. We leave them in here for about 30 seconds, then we get them out, let them drain for a minute, and stack them on the pallet, and into the cooler they go. Sometimes I'll help a little pile of them get up there a little faster if the girls are getting ahead. But the beans are really clean today. Not too much debris. Not too much dirt. Wrong way. There's a certain pattern. You gotta do it this way again. So there's 7 to a layer. 4 that direction, and then 3 the other direction. You can see that. We alternate our pattern so they interlock with each other. We can go 6 high if needed, but I told the guys to only go 5 high today because we're only gonna have 2 skids. While they were waiting on us to get back from the bean harvest, they were picking the long greenhouse. Still got some pretty nice looking tomatoes in there. They're just getting really small. It's about as big as we got. A lot of these little guys. They make great quart basket displays at the farmer's market. And you can see the tops are just looking a little bit rough. Not quite as pretty and classy as they have been. Running our yellow wax beans through now. They look pretty good. There's a few small pin beans in there that have the green color to them still, but for the most part, they look pretty good. The purple one made it in. All right, we're just finishing things up here. We got a big mess to clean up. The one thing I failed to mention about our second dump tub, it's kind of the way we hydro-cool our beans. So yeah, the water is like 55 degrees, most likely. So we have fresh water constantly being pumped in the bottom. I already have it turned off. And then the hot water rises to the top and exits out of this top hole and goes down the drain. So we constantly have circulation of fresh cold water from the bottom and the hot water going out the top. That way we can keep that close to 55 degrees and remove a lot of that field heat before putting the beans in the cooler. All right, we are all finished up with green bean harvest for the day. Everything's been cleaned up and put away and ready for cucumbers, cantaloupes, and tomatoes tomorrow morning. I hope you guys enjoyed the green bean harvest process, getting them from field to cooler. We ended up with 77 bushels today. That should generate around $5,000 for us for the rest of this week's farmers market sales and Saturday farmers markets. So not too shabby for about 2.5 hours of work getting them from field to cooler. This is where we're going to wrap up today's video, folks. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the content, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I hope to see y'all again real soon down the farm.